This tape measure is my favourite piece of medical equipment. Doctors use it to measure what we call the abdominal circumference, when size really does matter, belly fat. A patient called Billy was with me recently, and after I'd examined him, I asked him his age. He said he was 45. I cut the tape. Next, I asked Billy what age he thought he was going to live to be. He said 80. I cut the tape again. Finally, I asked Billy, how many hours sleep do you get each night? He said, 7.5 hours. I cut the tape a third and final time. And then as I asked Billy to hold up the remaining piece of tape, just like this, I said to him, Billy, that's all the time you've left to dream your dreams, do those things that matter for you. Confucius once said, we all have 2 lives, and our second life starts the day we realize we only have 1 life. Thank you. My name is Mark Rowe. I'm a medical doctor grounded in science. I've grown up with the pill for every ill, the promise for every problem. And today I'm going to share with you 3 key insights that you won't find in medical textbooks. 3 ideas that have changed how I see the world, and I hope they do for you too. My first key insight is the concept of lifestyle as medicine. When my grandfather DJ qualified as a medical doctor back in 1912, just like nowadays, he used a stethoscope, dispensed advice, and wrote prescriptions. Like all physicians, he took the Hippocratic Oath, which essentially means primum non nocere, or first, do no harm. Of course, prescribing options were far more limited back then. Perhaps the listening ear more valued than the latest breakthrough drug. And of course, back then, some things were very different. Infectious disease was rampant. And so it was such an exciting discovery when penicillin arrived on the scene. Now, for the first time, infections like diphtheria, pneumonia, even rheumatic fever could be successfully treated. But just as all that glitters is not gold, so more of a good thing isn't necessarily better. Fast forward to nowadays, and I've had to ask myself so often, are we truly living by the Hippocratic Oath of first do no harm that we all took as doctors when we qualified for medical school? Because right now, we're dealing with what I call the calamitous and catastrophic consequences of the pill for every ill. The numbers are absolutely shocking. More than 100,000 deaths in the United States from the side effects of legally and properly prescribed pills. Death by prescription. Right now, we're dealing with a tsunami of lifestyle-related chronic health conditions. I see it every day in my surgery, from diabetes and dementia to coronary heart disease, even some cancers. The answer is so often found in the prescription pad. And the truth is, if someone suffering from chronic health conditions were to be treated according to evidence-based guidelines, that person may be taking more than 15 pills a day, more than 450 pills a month, more than 5,000 pills a year. That's a lot of side effects. Nowadays, there's pills for all sorts of things. We even have a pill for internet shopping disorder. Pills that promise protection against aging. The increasing medicalization of normality. And in the background, Big Pharma, the poster boy with their persuasive advertising, fanning the flames, funneling an illness-based model of healthcare towards what I call Pharmageddon. The pill for every ill. Now, I'm not anti-pill. In fact, penicillin, if available, would have successfully treated my granddad DJ's rheumatic fever, prevented the later heart complications that led to his untimely death. Modern medicine saves lives, but so often it's simply seen as the sticking plaster solution, papering over the cracks when what we need to do really is get down and address the root causes. I'm reminded of Thomas Edison, the inventor of the electric light bulb, who had a lesser known light bulb moment about healthcare many years ago when he said, "The doctor of the future will prescribe no medication, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease." Such words of wisdom. Because I believe the doctor of the future will prescribe lifestyle as medicine, and that's why I've become part of this new emerging global movement called lifestyle medicine. That positive lifestyle habits can become part of every consultation about health and well-being. That we can embrace lifestyle not just for treatment, but for prevention and even reversal of disease. So our challenge is to face down Pharmageddon and the pill for every ill and instead embrace lifestyle as your best medicine. Eat real food, move much more, sleep much better. Because your DNA is not your destiny. Your lifestyle is your destiny. My second key insight is learning to grow from setbacks. I'd just like you all to think for a moment about something that's given you a real sense of achievement and personal satisfaction. Perhaps a painting you did at school, perhaps some prize or promotion, something that's made you feel really proud. You see, that's how I felt when I started out in my practice almost 20 years ago. We rented a space over a corner shop right across the road from where I'd grown up, where my parents still lived at the time. Really local and really personal. We worked really hard to make that place warm and welcoming. Bright blue paint on the waiting room walls. We even had a coffee machine back then. We worked really hard and the practice grew and everything was going really well until about a year later. I'll never forget that morning when I got the call. "Are you Mark Rowe, the doctor?" I said, "Yes, why?" "You better come quick, your practice is on fire." I rushed over there. The fire brigade had already done their stuff. Smoke billowing, neighbours standing around. For me, it was as if time stood still. All I could see was my livelihood, my future, everything I'd worked so hard for, going up in smoke. I felt numb. A few hours later, I was allowed to enter the premises. I'll never forget the smell, that all-pervasive, powerful stench of smoke and charred wood. And I could see what looked like the remains of a red party balloon on the wall. Getting closer, I realized it was what was left of the fire extinguisher. The computers and coffee machine were melted beyond recognition. The equipment was totally destroyed. The once bright blue walls of the waiting area had turned into a grim, Stone Age wreck. I felt broken, but we were doctors and we had people that depended on us. We worked through the weekend. We were back in business the following Monday. But I took that fire so personally. Fear and anxiety consumed me. CCTV footage had found that 2 young guys had broken in. 4 separate fires were set. This was no accident, this was deliberate arson. Would they, whoever they were, come to my home next? My sense of safety and security in the world was badly shaken. I felt angry. I felt guilty. I mean, no one was hurt in the fire, and I meet people all the time who suffer from real health challenges. And I also felt ashamed. Because back then I believed bad stuff only happened if you deserved it. A few weeks later, I realized I had a choice. I could keep on feeling sorry for myself, wallowing in my needless negativity, replaying the events of the fire over and over again. But it wasn't going to turn back the clock. So I chose to see things differently. I chose forgiveness. to let go of the fire and the need to know why, and instead to embrace acceptance. To accept that what had happened, and to move on. Today I can put my hand on my heart nearly 20 years later and tell you how grateful I feel for that fire. That experience has taught me so much about guts and graft and gritty persistence, about real resilience. You see, we all face fires in our lives. Fires in our health, fires in our careers, fires in our relationships. I've had plenty of fires. We all experience pain. We all suffer. But that fire became a spark for me, a spark for new possibilities. And that's my hope for you too, that you can embrace the inevitable fires in your life, get to know yourself better, and really grow as a human being. Find the spark of opportunity and become wiser, stronger, and better. My third key insight is the importance of self-care. So when I was a young boy at home, at school, in church, I often heard of the golden rule. Perhaps you have too. You know, treating other people as you'd like to be treated, keeping your agreements, being the person you'd like to spend more time with, because somehow seeking to find the best in others helps to bring out the best in ourselves. So I'd like to take that idea of the golden rule and turn it on its head. To say, treat yourself as you'd like others to treat you. Because self-care is not selfish care. Self-care is a gift to you and everyone that matters in your life. And it's not about your indispensability at work. I mean, that's a myth. We're all dispensable. I'm talking about your irreplaceability as a human being, being able to prioritize yourself as well as others, to truly live a life of purpose and meaning. Simply put, self-care means looking after your physical, psychological, emotional, and relational health needs, listening to your heart, living by your values. So often self-care goes by the wayside when people are suffering from stress. And so often as a doctor, I meet people who believe that self-care is selfish care. Sometimes the most giving and generous people you could imagine, giving to everyone that is, except themselves. Sometimes with a mindset that says, if you've got time to look after yourself, you're clearly not important enough, because if you were, you'd be busy doing something else. Self-care allows you to think, feel, and be at your best, to realize you are your own best investment, to simply express a better version of you in the world. And it's so incredibly contagious. Emotional positivity spreads outwards to 3 degrees of separation, impacting your work colleagues and their connections, affecting your friends, and their friends too. People you don't even know can benefit from you choosing to live by the golden rule of self-care. And I believe self-care should be the starting point, the essence of a life of leadership and real vitality. Burnout is the new global pandemic. In a corporate world that's always on, where more people than ever are struggling and searching for meaning. Now, it's a known fact that at least 50% of medical doctors, the carers themselves, are also struggling from burnout. No one is immune. Caring can be wearing. Ask many doctors confidentially about their burnout problem, and they'll say, which burnout problem do you want me to talk about? I know a doctor very well who was in that place. Years on a treadmill, trying to be all things to all people. Years of simply working too hard. Years where no matter how much he did, the treadmill just got faster and faster, because he was good at what he did, but not so good at looking after himself, sleeping and exercising less, eating on the run. More than anything, this doctor felt emotionally exhausted. And I know that story really well to be true, because that doctor was me. Just as the fire of my past burned out my work premises, so too I began to feel the flames of professional burnout just a few short years ago. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, once said, "Physician, heal thyself." And that's true for everyone. I learned to make some radical but simple changes. I took time out to recharge and come back stronger than ever. I learned to keep a journal and express gratitude, to reduce my exposure to negative noise, embrace meditation and simplicity, and reboot my purpose of serving others by focusing on my strengths. Too often doctors lead unhealthy lives themselves, simply telling their patients what to do instead of also showing them by example. I chose to let my actions speak as loudly as my advice, as an advocate for lifestyle medicine. So far, life as a doctor has taught me three important insights. Firstly, that we can face down Pharmageddon and the pill for every ill, and instead embrace lifestyle as the best medicine. Secondly, that the inevitable fires in our lives can become gilt-edged opportunities to grow. And thirdly, that self-care is the essence of a life of real vitality. I want to leave you with a question. What would you do if you could live your life over again? If I was asked that question, I would say the first thing is that I can't go back to the beginning and start again, but starting again, you can create a brand new ending. Your life, your lifestyle, your legacy is just like a tape measure. How are you going to measure yours? Thank you all very much.